Hey everyone, my guest today is Wouter Constant. Wouter is an historian, a technology researcher, and a Nostr co founder. Welcome to the show, Wouter. I was wondering if you could tell the audience about Nostr and a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay, so well, as for me, I guess the little intro would be that my formal background, like in academia, would be history, economic history. In terms of like my career or job experience, my first and only proper job was into what's called IoT or like sensor networks, radio networks, that type of stuff. But for the most part, I have a background in my main interest, which is what's called distributed computing or decentralized computing systems. So in the
Okay.
olden days, this would be things like torrents, downloading things,
Hmm.
RSS, which is still the basis for podcasting, um, and all kinds of different protocols and systems that have come up along the way. Um,
Okay.
I guess the biggest one would be, and I spent most of my time in the past years would be Bitcoin, which is the largest decentralized computing network out there. And in more recent times, it's Nostr, which is
Okay.
an open protocol for publication and maintaining social networks.
Okay. What does a typical day look like working on that?
For me, well, I do
Yeah.
a couple of things. So um, I I'm trying to write a book about the subject. I
Hmm.
do podcasts like this. Um, More recently, I'm with a couple of other guys. I'm trying to set up a foundation um, called the Web of Trust Foundation, where we
Okay.
uh, try to build out a protocol on top or a system on top of Nostr, with the aim of providing a safe and adequate internet environment geared toward children or younger people.
Yeah.
Um, and the thing is, it's an open protocol. Nobody owns it. Just some guy in 2019 wrote up a description of the thing, and
Okay.
things progressed from there. But there's no organization or business or whatever behind it. So um, I'm involved just with a whole bunch of other people, and it's
Hmm.
pretty um, chaotic, unstructured process for the most part.
Okay. How do you think that this does this solve social media censorship issues? Um, or and how do you solve that while also keeping kids safe? I noticed that there's a lot of concern with like AI and children and accessibility to certain things.
All right. So maybe we can touch on the kid stuff later, and as well as the AI, as well as many other aspects.
Okay.
Um, but so the main idea behind Nostr initially was to create a censorship-resistant form of social networking. And
Okay.
initially, it was just more like building a Twitter type thing. Um, and um, the main idea behind Nostr is, well, you can call it censorship resistance, which is a technical term which we distributed compute type people like to use. But you could also phrase it in a positive manner,
Okay.
being freedom of association. So we want to create a system that provides freedom of association, but also provides another thing that is crucial, which is network effect. Because network effect is this notion where in a network, the more nodes you have in a network or the more people, um, the value of the network grows in an exponential manner in relation to the amount of people that are actually part of the network. So the most
Okay.
simple example would be phones.
Uh-huh.
If you're the only person in the world with a phone, they're absolutely useless. If there are
Right.
now two people with a phone, that's nice, right? You can call this one person. But you can start to see that the more people start to join the phone network, the more
Hmm.
value having a phone actually has, because you now have access to more and more people.
Yeah.
So the basic notion of network effect is that everybody's there because everybody is there,
Yeah.
and this is the main core of the success of these social media platforms that we use, um, is that initially they basically won the game for
Mhm.
capturing network effect. And that's the reason
Yeah.
why companies like Meta with Facebook or Instagram, but also Twitter, now called X, we only have like a handful of platforms that most of the people in the world actually use. And this is
Yeah.
the reasons, because everybody's there, right?
Yeah.
You want to be seen, you want to find people. So you go to the place where the most set of eyeballs are, to look at you, or you can look at the most um, varied things available to you because everybody is already there. So this is the core of the matter,
Mhm.
because when we're talking about censorship resistance, or this notion of freedom of association, that's something that the internet itself already provides. So the internet is also an open protocol, um, and it initially was designed from a military perspective to
Right.
provide this notion of censorship resistance in order to uh, maintain communications even in a hostile environment, let's say. So you want to have a communication network that is not easily shut down. And after some development, this became the public internet that we know, where all these computers are connected with each other. And um, the idea is that you already have censorship resistance because it's not that complicated to host your own website, right?
Yeah.
And this is something that people do, right? People get banned off a platform, they go to maybe a marginal platform. So let's say you're kicked off of YouTube, you go to Rumble, for example,
Mhm.
which is another video platform, or you host your own website and you post your videos there, which is all
Yeah.
well and good. Now, technically, you have censorship resistance. You found a way to keeping your signal alive. The problem is you lost your network effect.
Yeah.
So you're effectively self marginalizing the moment you leave these platforms, uh, because you don't have the network effect. You're not there where everybody else is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the fundamental crux of Nostr is providing both. So at the same time, providing network effect as well as censorship resistance.
Okay. Yeah, I had wondered in the past, or still do, I guess, why you hear a lot of people talking about the censorship that happens on platforms like YouTube. And then it's like, well, why don't you move over to Rumble then? Which, yeah, that would be a cost. But I've kind of wondered why all these people didn't band together and just say, no, we won't be on YouTube at all. We will only be on Rumble. And if a lot of people did it, I,
Well, that's the
you know,
crux, right? I mean, that's a coordination
yeah,
problem. Now you have to coordinate all these individual agents
yeah,
to say, okay, let's go to this particular place. And the
yeah,
problem there is like, okay, are you going to Rumble? Are you going to go to Odyssey? Are you going to go to, I don't know. There are probably tons of websites out there that
yeah,
are platforms that you're able to go to. So how are you gonna agree on what platform you're gonna go to? Whether when organically initially everybody already agreed that they were going to go to YouTube.
yeah,
So
yep,
this is the thing, is that creating these network effects, or in order to be the winner, let's say, of this process, is very difficult. It's very hard to get to such a point. And once a decision collectively has been made, which in this case is like it is YouTube. And in
mhm,
terms of like videos, it's a particular thing because video hosting is expensive, so it's
yeah,
actually hard to create alternatives. But there are other examples. For instance, instant messaging or private messaging.
mhm,
Um, Pretty much depends on where you are in the world, but in like for here, I'm in the Netherlands. Here, WhatsApp is pretty popular. I know that I think regions in South America, WhatsApp is really popular.
yeah,
You also have Telegram, but it kind of depends on on what region you are. I think in the US, the iPhone is pretty popular there, so
yeah,
the iPhone provides a messaging system. So even in different environments, these things, they as a result of some collective process, people ultimately, in an uncoordinated fashion, they coordinate towards one particular result, and from there
yeah,
on, it's very difficult to move past to something else.
Right. Right. I had that I don't know, a while ago I was very anti Facebook. And I mean, it's really like turning into a crap platform in my opinion, but maybe I'm just not using it right, liking the right things or whatever, but you go on there to see what your friends are posting and it's all ads. And we we had a huge issue with people's accounts getting hacked and like selling fake items and whatever. I knew a lot of people who did it. And so some people were leaving Facebook, but then no one's using anything else like that. Like I love X,
Right.
but none of my family uses it. And then there's the Facebook marketplace and yeah, it's really hard to compete, I guess.
Well, and there you touch on something pretty interesting. It's by now it goes under this phrase of shitification, where this idea is that these platforms over time, or these internet services, these web
Mhm.
services, they shitify over time. They become more crappy, and that's actually been baked in right from the start. So how this
Okay.
went, because I'm saying it's like, okay, there was this organic process in ultimately getting into a decision is where we're going towards.
Mhm.
That's half true. But the other half of that story is that they're financed into that position. So
Okay.
um, because like I said, YouTube hosting videos is a very expensive operation, but basically for all these platforms, creating an account is free,
Yeah.
right? So who's paying the cost for all these users that are
Right.
signing up? And this was
Right.
the question right from the start. So and you even see this in different areas that are not necessarily social media. You also see it in
Mhm.
clothing websites, um, or marketplaces more broadly. Like Amazon is a pretty good example, actually.
Uh-huh.
Um, the thing is that because you're in this competition for network effect, that you have this winner takes all or winner takes most dynamic.
Yeah.
So the message towards investors always is like, okay, we're going to subsidize our growth, and we're going to do it into the foreseeable future, only to the point where we are the one we are where we are the winner. Let's say everybody's there
Mhm.
because everybody's there, and the moment everybody's there, we got them, because now first we undermined all our competition in the way there, so they're not
Okay.
around anymore, and from that moment on we can start to leverage the position that we have in order to start making money, which
Yeah.
ultimately just results in this whole shitification process, because now the pressures are on. It's like, okay, how are we gonna fleece these sheep, right? It's how are we gonna get our wool. um,
Yeah.
so now the frictions are starting to occur, the ads are starting to occur, the incentives as to what kind of content is suggested to you starts to shift, this type of
Mhm.
things. So
Yeah.
but that was already baked in from the start. That was already baked in the investor pitch right from the start. It's like, give us your money, we'll
Yeah.
become the biggest, and the moment we're the biggest, we can close the gates, and then we can start getting our money back, because people don't really have an alternative anymore, because of this notion of network effect.
Yeah.
So it's not actually a surprise that we're in this situation.
Yeah. I'm gonna start using that word. I'm gonna say shitified as well.
I think it's a
Something's been
paper.
shitified.
It's a phrase from an actual paper. I think it's from 2019 or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
So it's an observed phenomena, but even you could have come to that conclusion. You could have seen it coming. All right.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Um, so yeah, I guess we kind of discussed like the real is that the real problem with social networking platforms, or are there are there other major problems with social networking
Well, I
platforms?
think there are various kinds of issues.
Mhm.
Be that censorship, or the shitification, as I mentioned, or
Mhm.
whatever it is. But I think fundamentally it boils down to this notion that um, it's it, the problem is that there are centralized platforms. So now we've as we discussed, we have this we it's a this network effect is captured by a single entity.
Uh-huh.
So let's say Facebook, for example. they have a growth problem because they basically already captured the entire global population for the most part.
Yeah.
So there are still people getting onto the internet because they weren't on the internet before. Um, but even there, the limits are being reached. So
Yeah.
only the newborn people are are new customers
Yeah.
for Facebook. So um, the whole point is that now Facebook is responsible to facilitate all these services for all these people. And
Yeah.
here an interesting problem occurs because um, these platforms, they are private companies,
Mhm.
but uh, because of how we interact with these platforms, how we behave, um,
Yeah.
and these network effects of everybody's there because everybody's there, we treat them as if they are public spaces.
Yeah.
So we treat them as if they are the public square, as if they are these places that we have political discussions and all kind of let's say civil functions
Mhm.
that are facilitated by these private companies. This becomes a problem because now these platforms don't only have to deal with all the varied interests of their users, which is as varied as there are users, and they already captured
Yeah.
everybody. But they also they have their own interests as a business. They have the interest that they have to cater to of their advertisers, are their
Mhm.
real customers. Um, but now, because we're using them as the public square, there are now also public interest involved, and that's where
Yeah.
governments come in, because governments are looking at this stuff, and there's like, wait, we're treating it as if it's the public square. These are
Yeah.
public interests. This is our domain, so we have an opinion about this stuff.
Right.
But because it's global, it becomes a geopolitical problem because we don't have a world government. We have the United States as an opinion. We have the European Union as an opinion. Turkey has an opinion. China has an
Mhm.
opinion. So all these different countries now also have opinions. So you can imagine we have this single platform and this tug of war going on between all these varied parties, which are all the different users, the corporate interest itself, the advertiser interest, and now all these different geopolitical interests that are all tugging onto what the policy ought to be of this single particular platform.
Yeah.
So, and that's where I think all the problems start to occur. It's because there is no solution to this issue, right? There is no
Right.
clear solution to everybody being involved in this, I don't know, five-way tug of war going on. So I guess that's at the core of the matter, and that's why with Nostr the whole point is decentralization. So we're no longer relying on a one particular platform to provide all these services for us. We're able to decentralize it, and in order to explain that, we have to look at these central platforms and see what is it actually that they're doing, right?
Mhm.
They are they're some of the biggest corporations on this planet, so they're obviously facilitating some service, right? They're doing something right.
Yeah.
What is it that they're doing? Well, you can cut that into three different categories. So the first one would be identity and network. So this is
Mhm.
your account, and this is the people that you follow and the people that follow you, right? What's called the social graph, or your social network that you have. The second part is what you call hosting. So this is actually making your content available. So you post a video or you post a
Mhm.
tweet that has to be stored on a server, right? There are physical machines out there on this world that has to store that data and have a good enough connection in order to, if somebody else wants to see it, they can actually download it from those servers.
Yeah.
And the third part would be what you could call indexing, and this is stuff like search functionality, suggestion algorithms. So all stuff that is there in order for you to make sense of this vast amount of data that is out there, that gives you the ability to get into contact with people that you did not know before,
Yeah.
right? So you have your
Yeah.
group of friends, that's nice, but you also want to see other content from people you have not interacted with before, or you want to look stuff up and find things. So that's the third category. And what Nostr does is, as a protocol, it breaks that up. So now
Okay.
these three functions are no longer at one place anymore. They reside in different locations, you could say. So
Okay.
to start with the first is this notion of identity. What Nostr uses is cryptographic key pairs. So
Okay.
this is similar as to what Bitcoin uses, for example. The whole notion with Bitcoin is that you can just generate what is called a cryptographic key pair. It's a pair because there is a public key and a private key,
Okay.
which you could in the Bitcoin sense you could say like the public key is your account and the private key is your key to that account or to that lockbox. In the Nostr sense, it's your name and is the public key, and the private key would be um, your way to prove that you are the owner of that name.
Okay.
And what happens in Nostr is that everything that you publish, you provide with what's called a cryptographic signature, and you can just pretty much map this to this analog notion of just signing everything that you publish with your own signature, right?
Mhm.
Um, and that way um, you can locally verify that something came from a particular person. So that means that, and this goes into this second notion of hosting, that it doesn't matter where stuff is hosted anymore. Because
Okay.
currently, if you look at Instagram, for example,
Yeah.
you can ask yourself, what is an Instagram post? An Instagram post is something that resides on Instagram.com. Instagram.com
Mhm.
is a domain, it's a specific place. And the Instagram post does not exist outside of Instagram.com. The validity
Right.
of the Instagram post does not exist outside of the authoritative declaration of Instagram that it's actually a real Instagram post.
Okay.
So what I mean by this is that you let's say somebody takes a screenshot of an Instagram post and I see the screenshot, the only way for me to verify that that thing actually exists and it's not somebody that just made something up in Photoshop is
Yeah.
for me to go to Instagram.com and look up that particular post.
Yeah. That
And with
makes
Nostr, it's different because uh, every user provides everything that they publish with their own cryptographic signature.
okay.
The moment I get that post from you, let's say it's a picture, you signed it, and I'm able to run the math and locally verify that it was actually you that published it.
Yeah.
And this means that I'm no longer required to go to one particular place in order to ask for verification. Is this thing real? No, I can locally verify that this thing is actually real. And
Yeah.
therefore, it can come from whether it's Instagram.com, let's say, or flibbityfloop.web, or
Yeah.
it's somebody printed it out, put it in a glass bottle, and it's washing up to shore, and I just find it, or I find it under my pillow. It doesn't matter. It's just in the data itself that I can verify that this thing is actually authentic. And this means that
Okay.
I'm no longer tied to one particular server anymore. I can host my stuff wherever I want it to host. And all that my followers are required are able to figure out where the stuff is where it is that I host my stuff. But they don't need to be at a particular place in order to verify that my stuff is actually real. And
Okay.
then the last part would be this indexing notion of these algorithms. And that's just a function that everybody could run. And it's probably going to open up to some marketplace. Because if I have like a very fancy computer at home, I would be able to run those types of algorithms myself. But maybe
Mhm.
if I'm on my phone, I will just make use of a particular service that does it for me, and then
Right.
the market is entirely open as to what type of algorithm that you're currently running, because now you're beholden to whatever decision Facebook makes in terms of what the algorithm is, right? Or
Right.
what YouTube decides what the algorithm is, etc.
Mhm.
um, so we've in relation to these three things, it's like identity, it's hosting where the stuff is, and this indexing is that you take control over the identity yourself as a user.
Yeah.
um, you're not relying on anything or anyone anymore in order to declare an identity, which could be one identity, could be like 1,000.
Yeah.
Um, in terms of hosting, we started out with it all being at this central place, be it Instagram.com or
Mhm.
Facebook.com, which is now decentralized. It's no longer relying on a particular place anymore, and we open up the possibility to run whatever type of algorithm or suggestion algorithm or search that we want.
Okay.
And the effective result is that um, I when I this comes back to this notion of censorship resistance. Why am I censorship
Mhm.
resistant? Well, the moment I'm making use of one server, which in Nostr is called a relay. So
Okay.
just a little tidbit: Nostr stands for notes and other stuff transmitted by relays.
Okay.
The notes, NOTES, um, and other stuff. So this is idea like a note would be like a tweet, and the
Uh-huh.
other stuff is basically hinting towards it doesn't have to be tweets; it can be anything.
Yeah.
And transmitted by relays would be this notion of like uh, it's carried by these varied servers. Um, and where was I going? Oh yeah. So as a user, um, I now just I'm able to create my own identity. I create a post, a publication. I sign it
Mhm.
cryptographically. I put it towards whatever relay, and the moment that particular relay, which is still a server, it's still a machine that it's owned by somebody, which is still a private entity. That hasn't changed. The thing is that when that private entity decides that he no longer wants to service me for whatever reason, which might be because I have some fringe political
Right.
opinion, or because he doesn't like me for whatever reason, or by sheer error, or his computer got struck by lightning, whatever it is that it's
Yeah.
not functioning for me anymore. I'm still able to just go to another relay, and the way software works is that it can pretty easily be automated, where the people that follow you can also follow you wherever your stuff is hosted. So the moment
Okay.
you're banned, you're still being able to ban somewhere, but it
Yeah.
doesn't matter because the people that follow you, they follow you, and they're still able to
Gotcha.
figure out, it's like, okay, this stuff is hosted somewhere else, I'll just able to fetch it there.
Yeah.
So, and that's why it facilitates this notion of freedom of association, is that we don't have to come to agreement as to what the policies ought to be, because we rely on this thing for civil function, let's say. Like, no, just
Mhm.
throw that out of the window. We don't have to come to agreement on what a commons, or what type of commons, or how we have to handle things. No, everybody can just decide for themselves what their policies are,
Yeah.
and let the chips fall where they may. And as a user, I have the flexibility in order to just switch to whatever place is willing to accommodate me, including hosting myself, which is
Okay.
not actually as complicated. Which is It's probably as easy, or as complicated, however you want to see it, as hosting a website. So
Yeah.
if I run a lot of censorship risk, right, because I'm a fringe political person, I'm able to I'll just run my own relay in order to get some peace of mind as to not being censored.
Mhm.
Um, but the whole notion is that my followers follow me, and they're able to find me there wherever I'm hosting my stuff.
Yeah.
The thing to end it there, the last part is that whatever software people are using is also open. So
Okay.
you right now you have a Twitter app, or you have the X app, and you have a Facebook app, and these are all separate apps, and you have all
Mhm.
separate accounts on these apps. So if you're a social media person, you go to like Linktree, which is like another website, and there
Yeah.
you list all the places where you have an account. So you have like a list of 5 different accounts, and
Mhm.
people will have to use 5 different apps in order to interface with these 5 different places.
Right.
What Nostr does is that it throws that all out the window, because you just have one account, let's say, and whether you are posting videos, or you're posting tweets, or you're posting articles, or whatever it is that your activity is and your publications are, I'm following you, and I'm just able to get that stuff. And
Mhm.
maybe I use different apps to interface with that. You can imagine that scrolling tweets is different than scrolling pictures, is
Right.
different than scrolling videos. That's fine. I'll just use a different app for that. The thing is that I can use it. I'm not restricted in what type of app that I use. So
Okay.
to make it concrete, I can name 4 different phone apps right now, which are large and well developed. There are more. There are more than
Yeah.
4, um, but 4 are actually very well functioning, and they're completely interchangeable. So you download the app, you put in your key pair, and
Mhm.
it just immediately gives you gives back your profile. It generates your feed based on the people that you follow. Everything is just there automatically. So the
Okay.
friction in order to switch apps has become marginal, and also you get this effect where if I started out using like a Twitter-like app,
Mhm.
and now I go to a picture type app where I'm going to look at pictures, or an article type app, is
Yeah.
that the social network that I've created using or tweeting about still exists when I'm in this picture sphere or article sphere.
Okay.
So whenever I'm following a particular person because of their tweets, the moment I log into an article app, I immediately see their feed of articles if they're also publishing articles, or I can
Okay.
also immediately see their videos. Because the whole
Yeah.
notion is that I'm not on a platform following a particular feed of a particular account of a person on a particular place. No, I'm just following that person,
Mhm.
and whatever app I decide to use is the view I get of whatever it is that person posts. So
Okay.
people don't have to use the same app anymore. We could be
Yeah.
using completely different apps, and we could still interface with each other,
Okay.
if
So
that
it
makes sense. So I gave you a whole
yeah.
lot, but this is
Yeah,
the basic rundown.
I'm not great with technology either, but I think hopefully I'm going to ask some questions and hopefully they'll help um the listeners as well. Okay, um so let's say if I hook everything up to Nostr and
Yes.
I'm posting on so then can you link that with like Facebook, Instagram,
No, so
X?
unfortunately not, because
Okay.
that will require them to adopt the Nostr protocol.
Okay. And then that makes sense. So then if I'm comparing, so like I'm kind of comparing this to certain tabs you have where you can do like the For You tab or the Followers tab.
Hmm.
When you're talking about whether you want to see images, articles, or tweets, notes, is it kind of like that where you just kind of, okay, this is what I want to look at. I want to read some articles. So click on articles, everyone you follow, those pop up. Is it kind of like that where how you enter into different areas?
Well, that's the thing. It just depends on the app. So most of
Yeah.
the so the four apps that I refer to, those are like what we call everything apps.
Okay.
Um, they don't actually support everything, but they will support a whole bunch of things, which would be the tweets and the videos and the pictures and the
Mhm.
articles. So there in that app, yes, I can just browse articles, or browse pictures, or
Uh-huh.
whatever it is. What the feed consists of is how I construct my feed. So it could be just a feed of the people that I follow,
Okay.
or I can make use of a service that um, provides me a feed of things that are popular, let's say,
Okay.
or because there's also a uh, very good Bitcoin integration. So I could for instance, I could just have a feed of the stuff that has been given the most amount of money, or the most amount of Bitcoin in the last 24 hours. You can
Mhm.
basically, everything that you can imagine is potentially a possible type of feed that you can create for yourself.
Okay.
Um, so you're not restricted there. Another way, it's not necessarily trivial to wrap your head around this, but I'm gonna make an attempt. So
Okay.
these relays that I mentioned, these servers,
Mhm.
the whole crux of Nostr is that it doesn't matter. The relays don't matter, and they are all that matters. So what I mean with
Okay.
that is that they don't matter in the sense of what I explained in terms of censorship resistance and the signatures, and the fact that it doesn't matter where stuff comes from, right?
Okay.
So you could, if your article, you could post an article, you could store it on 5 different relays. It doesn't matter on what particular relay I get it from, because what matters is the data itself, the article itself. Um, at the same time, if I'm not necessarily interested in a particular person, so let's say you, but I'm interested in a topic or a group of people,
Mhm.
this relay could be like a forum or a website geared toward a specific group of people or a specific interest. And the
Okay.
policy of that relay is we only accept um, we only accept discussions around frogs, let's say. So it's the
Okay.
frog relay, right? So
Okay.
we only accept discussions about frogs, and if you're not talking about
Yeah.
frogs, we're not going to accept your messages. So that means that if I'm
Okay.
interested in frogs, I go to that particular relay and just ask the relay, just give the lowdown, give me
Yeah.
whatever is on there, and I'm now browsing all these things about frogs.
Okay.
And let's say you're a frog aficionado. So I find you on there, and I find that your posts on frogs are particularly interesting. So I decide
Uh-huh.
to follow you. Now, the moment I follow you, I'm not necessarily dependent on the frog relay anymore in order to have a
Okay.
connection with you.
Okay.
So now let's, for instance, say that you are starting to have fringe heterodox opinions about frogs that are not appreciated on the frog relay. Um,
Okay.
so they decide to kick you off.
Mhm.
Uh, I don't lose sight of you anymore, right? I,
Okay.
I use the frog relay, this particular domain of content,
Mhm.
in order to find you. But the moment I found you and I follow you, you could be banned from the frog relay, but I still able to see whatever it is that you're posting. Because from
Okay.
that moment on, I'm just following you, and I'm able to get your content. I'm not
Yeah.
reliant on the frog relay anymore. It's kind of a
Yeah.
silly example, but you hopefully you catch my drift. So
No,
this is
I do.
where
Yeah.
this whole notion of, it's like the relay matters and it doesn't matter at the same time.
Mhm.
So it matters in terms
Yeah.
of, like, if I want to, it matters in the sense that people are free to run their own policy,
Mhm.
which is an important notion. I'm not talking about some communal kumbaya where we're relying on the goodwill of people in order to be nice and cooperate with each other. No,
Mhm.
these are all private environments, and people, um, whatever interest that they have, it could be a business interest for profit. It could be a communal interest. It could be a charity, for example, or just because somebody likes frogs a lot and he decides to put in the effort to host a frog relay. Whatever
Yeah.
the incentive or reasoning is for somebody to host a particular server, that's all fine. But they because they have they still have control over what that server does and what is accepted and not accepted. So
Mhm.
we're not in this tug of war anymore as to what the policy ought to be. The owner of the server decides what the policy is, and if you don't like it, well, too bad. You are able to go somewhere else, and
Right.
that's the problem with the current paradigm. Is you're practically not able to go somewhere else. Technically,
Yeah.
you are. You can go to Rumble, but now you're marginalized, and you lost the network effect because
Mhm.
all the subscribers that you had are gone. Whereas in
Right.
this Nostr context, they're not gone. They're still there. They're
Okay.
following you, and okay, you're now on a different server. That's fine. You
Yeah.
haven't lost your subscribers. You haven't lost your subscribers, and your subscribers are also able to find, they're watching your videos, and now they're also able to find your articles and your tweets, because it's not in these different silos and different accounts, and whether it's X for your tweets and Instagram for your pictures, etc., etc. No, it's just stuff that is signed by you. Um, so we're not stuck in these silos anymore.
Yeah.
So now we maintain network effect while still having censorship resistance. So we have both, and we actually have more network effect because we're not stuck in these silos of um, the tweets are in on X, the
Mhm.
pictures are on Instagram, the videos are on YouTube. Those
Right.
are all vertical network effects, let's say.
Mhm.
Whereas in this Nostr context, we're able to horizontally integrate all these networks.
Yeah.
So potentially the networks effect are actually bigger than they are right now. Because what's happening right now is basically all these platforms are trying to become everything.
Yes, I've
You
noticed
have
that.
yeah, you have the Chinese example, where it's fully integrated. But you see the same thing with X. It's just like
Mhm.
it started out with tweets, and now it's also does video streaming and
Yeah.
long form videos and all types of stuff. It tries to integrate all these things into their own platform.
Mhm.
Um, uh, but the thing is with Nostr is like, okay, is that you're still stuck with a particular app, right? So now,
Right.
do
Yeah.
you still like your X app when it starts to also give you videos? Is that the nicest app to watch videos with? Maybe not. Where with
Yeah.
Nostr you can use whatever app and it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. So you
Yeah.
can use a very fancy, nice video app, and if you don't like that app, you just use a different app, etc.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to tell you about my sponsors real quick. Sometimes I get on a roll cleaning or gardening, and I need a boost but don't have time for a meal. Big Fork Brand's pork jerky is the perfect choice to keep my momentum, offering high-protein snacks for on-the-go energy boosts. Not only do they offer pork jerky, but they also make pork sticks, bacon sausage, bacon hot dogs, and burger and hot dog sauces. Products come in a variety of delicious flavors, including Thai green curry and maple and brown sugar for the meat options, and gangster and Chicago fire for the sauces. I personally think the original flavor of the pork jerky hits just right after tackling a big chore. It's a little salty and very flavorful. My discount code gives you 20% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit bigforkbrands.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. Are you looking for a gift for a music lover, or maybe some apparel to show off your quirky side? Old Glory has you covered. With over 300,000 officially licensed items covering music, sports, entertainment, and pop culture, you're guaranteed to find the perfect item. They even have seasonal gear. My husband enjoys the Beatles and Led Zeppelin apparel, and I love the Billy Idol apparel. I even found items for my fellow plant enthusiasts. This family-owned superstore is known for their quality and customer service, offers free standard shipping on all orders, and orders are shipped the same day you purchase. My discount code gives you 15% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit oldglory.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. Looking for a game-changing way to improve your health? Zevo Life is the world's most nutrient-dense whole plant, packed with over 50% plant protein, essential amino acids, fiber, and antioxidants. Harnessing the best nature has to offer, Zevo Life nourishes your body while driving your performance, vitality, and overall well-being. Each serving is a concentrated source of clean, well-balanced nutrition designed to support modern lifestyles, and just 1 teaspoon a day supports your gut, boosts energy, and promotes healthier skin and hair. It's no wonder that it's receiving rave 5-star reviews. Step into a healthier future with a 30% discount and a 30-day risk-free guarantee by visiting zivo.life and using my promo code. To support my show and to receive 30% off your entire order, enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. Right. So to me it sounds like it's safer for users as far as their own content. Like it sounds like it's harder to hack into, is kind of what I'm trying to say, if with their unique signatures on each post. Is that a correct assumption?
Well, so it's mostly a trade-off that is occurring here. We're not we're not proposing any magic. So what the difference is that with these platforms, they have the power to, in some Stalin-esque move, unperson you as if you and remove you from history as if you never existed, right? Because you have an account there. With Nostr, you create your own profile, and you're able to do that to yourself, basically. So you have to, because what's this whole notion of these cryptographic key pairs, it's a secret. It's just a random number that you have to keep secret. And if you lose track of your own secret, well, too bad, right? Nobody can help you. And perhaps worse, if somebody else gets a hand on their secret, now they can pretend to be you. And then there are things that we that are there to mitigate it, but fundamentally, it's just a trade-off. It's like, okay, now you've gained the freedom, but you also get, with that freedom also comes the same amount of responsibility that otherwise would have been with the platforms, where if you lose your login, you could always call the company and say, well, it's actually me. Can you please give me access back?
Yeah.
So gotcha. It's a trade-off occurring there.
Yeah. And so also it sounds to me like you kind of can save some time by finding all the content on one platform instead of switching back and forth. Like you were saying, if you just want to go to one person's page, you can see everything that they've posted.
Yeah.
Correct?
So, and this is from both the user as well as the content creator themselves, right? because now currently as an online character, let's say, as I mentioned with the link tree, is like this long list of all these various platforms. And maybe you're posting your videos on Rumble, and you're posting them
Mhm.
on YouTube, and you're posting them on Odyssey. That's already 3 different places that you have to
Yeah.
upload your video to.
Yeah.
And maybe you're posting your articles on Medium, and you're posting them on Substack and whatever place you are. So
Mhm.
that's almost a full-time job in itself, in order
Yeah.
to juggle all these various platforms, in order to have reach, let's say.
Yeah.
Whereas if we assume like a nostrified context, yeah, it becomes a lot more straightforward, because it's just you create the thing, you sign it, you throw it out there, and then people can fetch it.
Right.
uh, and as a user, same thing, right? I don't have to switch from my X app to my Instagram app to my YouTube app in order to
Mhm.
see one particular thing or another. As long
Yeah.
as my app supports all those features, I'm just able to look at them right then and there.
Yeah. So, all right, so I have this problem where people will send me things that I'm uninterested in, but I don't realize I'm uninterested in them until I've opened the video. And then suddenly the algorithm thinks that I'm interested
Hmm.
in something I'm not. So, it sounds like Nostr offers a way to avoid that issue. Is that because you're controlling your own algorithm, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. That would be
So
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 nice.
now if you so now if you for most apps, right, the base algorithm, the default algorithm would be reverse chronological order of the people that you follow. So it's
Okay.
just the people that you follow, and you just see the latest stuff is at the top, and then if you scroll down, you see previous posts.
Mhm.
Um, like I said, kind of depending on the app, you also have this notion of relay feeds. So you just go to a particular relay, and you just say, just show me what you have there. Now, interesting stuff can happen there, because there, for example, and I hope hopefully I can explain this in a way that people understand what's going on. Nothing about this relay stuff is defined, so people are
Okay.
free to do whatever they want, because the relay
Yeah.
is in charge as to what is written to the relay and who is able to read from the relay. Um, and other than that, it's just a simple storage of data. Um, but what can happen is that a group of people can decide, okay, we're going to run a relay together.
Mhm.
And what we're going to do is that we're just going to do our day-to-day interactions on Nostr. We're going to like posts, we're going to watch stuff, these type. I'm going to follow people, etc. These type of things. And what happens from the relay perspective is that everybody has shares, let's say, in the relay, and all these actions that they're performing in terms of likes or replying,
Mhm.
those are votes. And just by the sheer activity of this group of people, you end up with a group of like a batch of stuff, right? A batch of
Okay.
tweets that were liked, um, that are now accessible on this relay. The relay decides, okay, we're going to host this stuff, because apparently this group of people, in relation to the shares and in relation to the votes that they cast,
Yeah.
it just based on the action that their everyday action that they are
Yeah.
performing.
Yeah.
Apparently, this is what this group of people finds interesting. So now this is just a derivative of the activity of that group of people. Is the stuff that actually lands on that relay. So now I'm able to connect to that relay, and I just get this derivative feed of what the actual activity of this group of people was. So
Okay.
that's a way of generating a particular feed. Um, Another
Yeah.
way would be to just connect to a particular service, and that service just describes to you what they're going to show you. So the most popular things in the last 24 hours, or the most popular things in the last 12 hours. Um, um, Stuff about frogs. I like whatever which way. It's just a
Yeah.
service where it's important to where it's important to understand that we have this phrase in Nostr,
Mhm.
is that there is no global. And because and this is important for people to understand when they're starting to interact on Nostr, because
Okay.
they have been tricked into thinking that there is such a thing as a global feed. They
Yeah.
because you when you're when you're on Twitter, for example, or on X, you have this
Mhm.
notion of trending, right? The same thing with YouTube. You have this notion of trending, where the assumption
Yeah.
is that every what is on X is everything that exists in the world, and this is the most
Yeah.
popular stuff that's everything that's there in the world. But it's a lie, right? It's not
Right. Right.
that it's not X is not the be all end all of all content.
Yeah.
So that confuses people when they go to Nostr, because there it's very explicit that there is no such thing as a global feed. And then they're like, well, this sucks. I'm going back to X because there I have a global
Yeah.
feed. No, you don't have a global feed. You have the opinion of X, right, as to what the content
Right.
is. And when,
Right.
let's say, for somebody posts a tweet, I can take the link of that tweet, go to Reddit, post, make a Reddit post, link to the tweet, and we can have a whole discussion about that tweet that nobody is
Right.
ever aware of on Twitter, right? There is
Right.
this entire discussion going on around a particular tweet that is not on Twitter.
Yep.
Um, so this notion of global is actually a trick that's being played on people. It's like it's not actually the case today, and it's also not the case on Nostr, right? People
Mhm.
could be having conversations about stuff that you are not necessarily aware of. Um,
Right.
or you are aware of, or you don't want to be aware of, and then you close yourself off to it. You're in control. You're basically in control as to what you want to see.
Yeah.
So
S do you I don't know if you're old enough for this. Do you have a Facebook?
I have a residual Facebook account somewhere that has been
Okay.
scraped
Um,
completely, but
yeah, so, it I remember when Facebook first came out, not every university even had it, wasn't it just, like,
hmm
the Ivy League university students were
I
able to
think
get
so.
onto Facebook?
I think it was attached to the university email domain, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I remember it expanded to all universities, and I remember I was at a community college at the time, and I couldn't get on Facebook. It's just funny how it's morphed into something completely different that people who who, like, um, don't own a computer, who can barely do much with technology at all, they're on Facebook every day. Um, it's just interesting to see how things have have changed over the
Yeah, and
years.
and rely on Facebook for. There are businesses on Facebook.
Mhm. Yeah.
There are, depending on the country that you are, you're like driving
Yeah.
down the street, and the restaurant, there's like a restaurant, and if you want to order food, you can order the food via their Facebook page.
Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
church groups that organize themselves via Facebook pages.
Mhm.
Right, and this is what I mean
Yeah.
is that we're kind of using it as if it's like the public square. We're building
Yep.
all these things on top of it, whether it's businesses or churches or whatever civic function.
Mhm.
We start to we start to use this infrastructure um,
Yeah.
because it has network effect, and it's like, okay, I'm a restaurant, so I'm going to use Facebook. Well, one, because it's easy, so I don't have to host my own
Mhm.
website, so it facilitates a whole bunch of stuff for me. And everyone already has a Facebook account, so my customers are
Right.
it's low friction for my customers as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is very interesting. But the other side of that coin is that it was a good pitch to investors that apparently
Mhm.
the investors also pick Facebook, right?
Yeah. Yep. So, what would it look like for like, would Nostr be a good place for businesses to advertise?
Well, the honest answer right now is um, it very much depends, but probably not, because not a lot of people are on there.
Right.
But there are businesses. So um, the as to what the share of users is, it's there's a lot of Americans on there.
Mhm.
Then there are a bunch of Europeans. Interestingly enough, there is also this Japanese contingent that are just completely doing their
Really?
own stuff um, for two reasons. The first reason is that they tend to lock down their relays on geolocation. So
Okay.
if you have like an outside IP, you're not able to connect to their servers. Um,
Okay.
and the other reason is that they have their own perspective on how things should work and how things operate.
Mhm.
Um, which is completely fine. I mean, they can do that, but it's very interesting that that a bunch of Japanese people started to adopt a Nostr in this way.
Yeah.
Um, but and it was born out of Bitcoiners. So
Uh-huh.
um, the person that came up with it was a Bitcoin developer. Um,
Okay.
of course, his friends are also Bitcoin developers. Um, so the initial group, basically, that starts to colonize the protocol, let's say, was all
Mhm.
a bunch of Bitcoiners, and then you get derivative things where there are certain um, like health nuts and food. So there are now beef tallow businesses on
Yeah.
Nostr or that type of stuff
Yeah.
that are actually they're doing pretty well because their customer base is on Nostr,
Yeah.
and what they're basically doing is that they found a place where they minimize the ruck. They don't have a ruck pull risk, right? They cannot be nothing can be
Yeah.
pulled. The wool cannot nothing can be pulled underneath from them. Where
Yeah.
if they would have run their business on Instagram, for example, uh, by advertising, by sharing the pictures, it's like
Mhm.
the moment Instagram decides, for whatever reason, could be error, to
Yeah.
delete their account, now their business is gone. And this
Yeah.
happens. I mean, there are plenty. You can go online and look for plenty of articles, and there are cutesy little knitting shops or whatever
Yeah.
that just get banned from Instagram, and now their business is gone.
Yeah.
So yeah, those people are on there. Musicians is also interesting thing because Spotify is very dominant, but
Mhm.
uh, musicians are barely making any money off Spotify.
Yeah.
And now there's this little movement going on of getting musicians onto Nostr, where
Yeah.
because Bitcoin is very tightly integrated, it's very low key to just actually send them money in this model, this value for value model that
Okay.
Adam Curry, which is the Podfather, is his nickname, right?
Uh-huh.
He's one of the main guys behind this notion of podcasting, um, and his notion is that I produce value by creating this podcast. So my question to my audience is like, what type of value are you going to give back? Are you going to help me out, or are you going to send
Right.
money, or are you going to give me some interesting information, or that
Right.
type of stuff? And the same model applies for these musicians. And however little money it is, they're already making more money on Nostr than they would have at Spotify.
Uh-huh.
Um, so the whole crux of the matter is like where is your audience? And
Yeah.
if you have your this is another notion on the internet, is that if you all you need is like 1,000 dedicated followers. And
Mhm.
if you have 1,000 people that are really interested in you and are willing to send you $5, well, I mean, then you're there,
Yeah.
right? You're able to just do your thing and grow from
Yeah.
there. So as long as you're able to capture those 1,000 people,
Yeah.
then you're good to go. And if you do it on Nostr, uh, that's the last place you're gonna have to set up shop, because you're not you've insured yourself against the risk that somebody's going to undermine your ability to run your business and
Right.
get between you and your audience, right? You have a method where you're always able to stay in contact with your audience, and your audience being able to stay in contact with you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I like the sounds of it. I've seen people lose everything that they have with those Facebook hacking things. Like my brother-in-law still can't get back on Facebook. He's like, I just want marketplace, you know. But but yeah, you were saying you could just do a different relay if something like that were to happen,
Yeah,
correct?
if
Yeah.
somebody if a relay decides to cut you off, then
Mhm.
yeah. As to if you were to lose your keys, that's
Right.
a different question.
Yeah.
There are two things here. So one is that um, because we're using cryptographic key pairs, which
Mhm.
for a lot of people will be um, perhaps a little bit rough to start out with, right? Because
Yeah.
it's a random string of numbers. Like, what do I do with this? Um, the bottom line is just it's a secret you have to keep safe, and
Yeah.
I think most people ultimately will have to be able to have the intuition as to how to keep a secret safe.
Yeah.
But it's also cryptography, and we're able to do a whole bunch of cryptographic magic, let's say, where we're able to split this thing up and distribute it among different people that now can cooperate in order um, to produce those signatures for you without them
Mhm.
necessarily being able to run off with your identity.
Yeah.
Um, and the other part is what this notion of with notions of web of trust, where if I lose my identity or my identity gets stolen, um, the point is that I have my social network is just a reflection of the social network that I actually have
Mhm.
in the physical world. So
Yeah.
like if I live together with my partner and I see my friends every day and
Mhm.
etc., then I'm able to just I'm this is not necessarily there yet, but this is stuff that we're working on where it's like, well, if I'm just able to just generate a new profile and tell to my partner or my wife, let's say, it's like, okay, well, I'm now running under this new identity, and the same with my friends and the people
Yeah.
I interact with on a daily basis, not necessarily online, but in the physical world, or I'm able to just call them via
Yeah.
other channels. Then I'm pretty quickly able to just rebootstrap my identity.
Okay.
um, so these are things that we're working on. But
Yeah.
as I mentioned, it's like the same thing goes for you run a risk where you lose things on these central platforms where you're not in control, and here you're
Mhm.
more in control, but that also implies responsibility
Yeah.
of what those consequences are.
Right. Right. Um, so how does this tackle the problem of online identities?
Yeah, so this is interesting because it's a hot topic, especially because now we have
Yeah.
various governments coming in introducing digital identities. Um, the thing there is that the thing with the difference between um, those types of identities and the identities we're talking about in Nostr, as well as what's the what's this notion? Oh yeah, stuff like social credit scores, let's say,
Mhm.
which is tied to this problem
Yeah.
of digital identity. Is the fundamental difference between the two types of identities is with Nostr you create that identity yourself, and you're also in control as to what that identity means, right? I could
Mhm.
be Pirate Man 999, right? If that's the identity that I want to express, then it's Pirate Man 999,
Mhm.
and I can make a separate one that is Wouter Constant, which is going to be my everyday or my real persona, let's say.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I'm able to so I'm in control as to what and generating these identities myself, and I'm in control as to what they mean, instead of them being imposed on me, where that identity is being given to me, which is like,
Mhm.
this is your formal name, and now you're required to use it in all these places in order to sign in in order to sign in on X, or in order to sign in on Discord, or whatever it is. You're going to have to show your government approved digital identity.
Mhm.
Um, that's a totalitarian measure in order to ensure that they have this supposed watertight system as to uh, um, combat fraud or anything. But the problem is
Yeah.
that uh, yeah, that's also very restrictive. I mean, we have this
Yeah.
notion of pen names for centuries, right?
Yeah.
There are a lot of poets and writers that publish things under a name that was not their actual formal name,
Right.
and they
Right.
did that for a reason. And that's something that we have to protect, right? That ability to do that.
Mhm.
And that's something that Nostr allows, right? That's like I said, this if I want to be Pirate Man 999, I am Pirate Man 999.
Yeah.
And associated with that is this notion of social credit scores, let's say, where um, you can still have this notion of a social credit score. It's might not be the right phrase, but when you create these social networks
Mhm.
and these social graphs, people have opinions on each other, right?
Yeah.
So, but the problem is that the thing with the social credit score, it's this supposed objective thing, It's not objective. It's just
Okay.
one opinion, which is the
Yeah.
centralized opinion.
Right.
Whereas with Nostr, or these types of systems where you have freedom of identity, they are subjective, right?
Mhm.
So my score of you, my opinion of you could be very negative, and then somebody else could have an opinion of you that is very positive. And then the third person will have to figure out, is like, okay, how am I going to judge Samantha just based on what all the other opinions of the
Right.
people around Samantha are. And and if for some reason you screwed up and everybody hates you, that's too bad. Well, you just create a new
Yeah.
identity and just try again, right? You're not
Yeah.
doomed. Whereas if you were just handed one single government issue identity, and um, they control what your score is, and you
Yeah.
somehow screwed up because they don't like you, or thought you did things well, now you're condemned. You're
Right.
you're
Right.
you're now in damnation, because you're now in a position where you cannot get out of anymore,
Yeah.
um, because you're tied to this one particular identity, and you cannot create Samantha 2 in order to just try again,
Mhm.
and have some redemption arc going on.
Right. Right.
So that's
I
that's uh, that's that's in relation to identity, what the main dynamics are.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was kind of so we don't have so far we don't have to deal with that too much here, but I know other countries are starting to get, the social credit scores and um tracked a lot more, and I always wonder, like, so if you pay a fine, can you can you get back in the good graces of the government? Or I'm curious as to how that any of that works. I hope I never have to deal with it.
Yeah, and it's and obviously it's like it's gonna be corrupt in some way, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is the thing: is it runs on this assumption that it's watertight. It runs then under this assumption that it's neutral, and
Mhm.
neither of those things is gonna be true. So
No.
um, yeah, and the what the political will that allows for these things is understandable.
Yeah.
Um, Whether it's abuse, or like blatant fake stuff. We have this notion of fake news, right? And there are a lot of
Mhm.
problems with the notion of fake news itself, right? If you have like an
Yeah.
open discourse, but the other part is that, especially now with AI, it's very trivial to just produce
Yeah.
stuff that is just completely fake, right?
Yeah.
So policymakers and certain interest groups, etc., they are very nervous around this notion of AI, and their knee jerk reaction is like, okay, well, we need this watertight system of
Yeah.
government IDs in order to get a grip on this, because otherwise it's just going to be an absolute nightmare.
Mhm.
Whereas the Nostr response would be like, no, we're able to create our own webs of trust, right?
Yeah.
Like I now have this podcast interaction with you. I'm pretty certain you're not an AI.
Right.
So
Yeah.
the moment
Yeah.
the moment we connect on Nostr is like, okay, now we have a connection, and you
Mhm.
you now have you're one now step removed from what my direct network is. So
Right.
to what extent do you trust my ability to judge who I put in my first layer of trust?
Yeah.
Um, and that way we're able to hopefully just create these robust webs of trust, as they're called, to
Right.
keep a lot of the bullshit out, because that bullshit just relies on people being able to create an account and just
Mhm.
spam a whole bunch of bullshit. And I'm not gonna
Yeah.
I'm not gonna follow or add a bot to my friend list that just spams out AI crap.
Right.
um,
Right.
so it becomes very difficult for those types of attacks to penetrate well established trust networks.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's also an answer, right? So it's like
Yeah.
I see the problem. That's not the issue. The issue is not in identifying the problem. The issue is like what the opinion is as to how this problem should be solved. And I see
Right.
a lot of um, initial and secondary and tertiary order effects, negative effects, as to
Mhm.
the route that these that a bunch of governments are going into.
Yeah. Yeah. I will get some bot comments on my TikTok, and it's like I will see real people arguing, and then the bot never responds, and it's like, should I point out that this is just a bot or let them keep going because it's getting comments on my content? Um, I don't know what to do about it, but like, there's no way to, as far as like, certain platforms like TikTok, there's no way to really stop them from continuing to comment. And I think it's hard for people to recognize it unless they see it over and over again that it's fake. But but yeah, if you are in a trusted network where everyone's real, then that would eliminate the problem unless you're adding random people you don't know,
Right.
right?
So the notion is the fundamental notion is relevance.
Hmm.
And this is interesting because you said like, okay, I'll just leave these people going because
Yeah.
they're generating traffic, and
Right.
the TikTok algorithm likes the traffic, so I'll just
Mhm.
keep it going. But it's fake, right? It's bullshit.
Yeah.
There's no relevance to any of that stuff going on,
Right.
but there is something contributing a score to that thing that is absolutely irrelevant. So
Mhm.
it's in philosophical terms, it's like, well, you have the ontology and epistemology. Like, how do you figure out what is real? Um,
Yeah.
and now we're relying on the judgment of these centralized platforms, and they're absolutely terrible at it.
Yeah.
And basically, what we're proposing is we're going to base it on the distributed on a distributed notion of sense making, right?
Mhm.
It's a collection of my ability to make sense as well as your ability to make sense of things. um, and there could be a billion comments under this podcast done by bots, but if nobody finds those bots relevant,
Right.
the conclusion is that those comments are not relevant.
Yeah. Yeah.
And why should you care? Nobody should care because they are
Right.
irrelevant, right? It's like, oh, but
Yeah.
now they're not taking into account. It's like, yes, they're not taken into account because they are not relevant.
Right.
And what relevance means is completely a subjective notion.
Yeah.
If I'm some researcher interested in what bot activity is, then maybe for me it is actually relevant.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, it seems to me like this is a good way to kind of save social media because I mean, it just seems like it's getting uglier and uglier with the usage, but there's so much good that can come out of social media. You can make so many important connections. So yeah, I I'm would like to see this grow, and
Yeah,
see
so do
more
I. I
people
mean,
move
that's
over.
that's exactly what we're aiming for, right?
Yeah,
And what
that's why
what
you're
we're
here,
working
right?
on. Yeah, that's why I'm here.
Well, hopefully I can help you out a little bit. But yeah. Is there anything else that you want to that you want the audience to know? I did see that it looks like it's somewhat easy to sign up um and easy to navigate. Is there
So
anything else?
in terms of that, so I'm not the onboarding guy.
Okay.
I'm the spreading the message guy, right?
Yeah.
There, as you mentioned, the situation with social media platforms and the web in general is terrible,
Mhm.
and it can feel like we're doomed because there is no alternative, which is all this network effect stuff that I mentioned, right? And it's
Yeah.
very hard. And what you said, it's very hard to coordinate people to go somewhere else and
Mhm.
free ourselves from these stupid platforms.
Yeah.
So the core of my message here is hope, right?
Yeah.
There is hope. Don't despair, um, because there are a bunch of people working on this stuff.
Yeah.
It is real, right? There are apps. There are
Yeah.
a lot of apps that you can run in your browser, that you can run on your desktop, that you can run on your tablet, that you can run on your phone, be that Android or iOS.
Mhm.
But you have to be aware that the core notion of this thing is social.
Yeah.
So what is your reason to be there?
Yeah.
And a large part of that reason is the people that you find interesting. So
Yeah.
um, if you're having a hard time finding the people that you think are interesting, be that your friends or some other stuff, you're not going to have a lot of reason to
Right.
to be on Nostr, let's say. So and that's why I'm not the onboarding guy. It's like,
Mhm.
I'm not here to tell you that it's your time. Uh, be that you specifically, Samantha, or whomever in the audience, that
Uh-huh.
that it's your time to be on Nostr. Also because it's currently we're very much in what is called like an early adopter stage. So
Okay.
things are in development. Things have
Yeah.
improved a lot, like over the last year. But
Yeah.
to give the brief summary, at the end of 2019, some guy published like a little paper describing this stuff.
Uh-huh.
At first, he convinced like his developer buddies to have a look at this,
Yeah.
and they thought this was interesting and cool, and they started to tinker. Um, and after a while, there was something there. Then there is this entire story where it caught the attention of Jack Dorsey,
Mhm.
where that kicked off a lot of more things. Um,
Yeah.
but for the most part, it's like the current web is, let's say, 20 years old, and
Mhm.
there are the largest multinational corporations with thousands of employees um, building this stuff over the past 20 years. So that's
Yeah.
the experience that you're used to, right?
Yeah.
And here it's, let's say, 3 years with a handful of startups that have like a handful of people working on them.
Yeah.
So that's the comparison, right? Um, so if you're if your demand is that it's just utterly smooth and you're not going to experience any hiccup, that's
Mhm.
completely fine.
Right.
We'll see. We'll see you in 3 years or in 5 years or
Yeah.
whatever time it is, right?
Yeah.
Um, if you're more adventurous, um, and I everybody can just have a look, right, and just see how far they
Mhm.
can go.
Yeah.
The direction that I'm going to send them towards is nostr.com,
Okay.
which is not the official website because there is no official website. Um, but it's just the person that owns that domain was nice enough to um, create that as like a resource that informs people as to what Nostr as a protocol is, and a whole bunch of different apps that they could start using.
Yeah.
And when people do so, my advice would be to just create a post and use the hashtag introductions,
Okay.
because that's a hashtag that people on our side, right, the onboarding guys,
Yeah.
keep an eye out. It's like, okay, here's a little duckling that is alone
Yeah.
alone in the Nostr world. Let's pick them up and get them on the right path.
Yeah.
Um, the same goes for the hashtag Ask Nostr is another example. It's like if you have a
Okay.
question, just use that type of stuff or browse that hashtag in order
Yeah.
to see like what type of questions people asked and what type of answers they've gotten.
Yeah.
Um, and see if you're able to latch on to social networks, like to other people that you find interesting. And
Mhm.
there are already a whole bunch of different people, but it's going to take a little bit of effort in order to snuff them out and to find
Yeah.
them in order to connect with them.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be handed to you on a silver platter where you download the app and there is some highly sophisticated algorithm with
Yeah.
access to millions and millions and millions of videos that is just gonna give you endless scroll feeds of content.
Right. Yeah.
It's simply not there yet. So I'm just expectation
Yeah.
managing here. I would
Yeah.
encourage everybody to have a look, but I'm also not I'm not here to have like a forceful call of action.
Yeah.
There are other people that do that stuff, and they're help you out. And maybe if you look at YouTube, there are some tutorials out there.
Mhm.
Um, but at this stage, I'm better off just pointing people, explaining what the things is, pointing
Yeah.
people towards Nostr.com. And if
Yeah.
they're the type of person um, to end up on Nostr and actually stay for a while,
Yeah.
they'll figure it out on their own.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, nothing just is big overnight, it takes some work and some time. So, yeah, I'm gonna check it out.
Cool.
We'll see if I make an account.
And if you have any questions, I mean, you're free to ask, and I'll be your onboarding guy. That's no
Yeah,
problem, right?
sounds
But
good. Yeah.
it's like I focus on trying to explain, and hopefully people get
Yeah.
some broad sense as to what this thing is and why it is relevant.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
so
I actually like the idea that you're getting on and you're not already given stuff to follow though. Like like when I deleted a Facebook account and recreated it, it was like, oh, do you want to be friends with all these people from high school? It's like, how'd you even know that I graduated from there? But it must have still like maybe because they stored the information from my email address or something. But it's like, no, that's not what I got back on here to do. Connect with people from high school. I want to connect with the people around me, you know.
Right.
So I like the idea of being able to just kind of start fresh and control what you're seeing a little bit more.
And those options are there, right?
Hmm.
Probably not your immediate high school or whatever, but
Yeah.
there are these notions of follow packs, which is like
Okay.
groups of people in
Yeah.
relation to a particular interest. So if you like gardening, there is like
Hmm.
a follow pack for gardening, and then you immediately follow all these people, um,
Yeah.
and you're not tied to one follow list. You can have multiple different follow lists where
Hmm.
you're like, now these are my close friends, or um, this is like the gardening follow list for my gardening interest or whatever type of interest that you have. So these
Yeah.
are all options, but this is also all stuff that, and the same goes for various types of relays that I explained. Um, but this is all stuff for people to explore, and um, when they are exploring, they have to be what I do think is important to mention is that you're not stuck with the app that you picked out initially.
Right.
So if you find an app that works pretty well, that's fine. Use it for a week and then decide to check out another app, and then experience what how this frictionless switch to another app actually is, right? That
Yeah.
you've built your feed, you're looking at stuff, you're now logging into a different app, and all of a sudden everything is there.
Hmm.
And for the first time I experienced that, was a very, very interesting sensation, because it's like it's this notion of freedom,
Yeah.
um, that you immediately get. It's like, oh wait, this is for this app. It's also for this other app. And now on a
Yeah.
daily basis, I use 5 different apps on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And some of them are on my browser when I'm on my desktop, and I can just as easily switch to my phone, and it's seamless, and they're all different applications, and it depends on what it is I'm doing at that particular time, what I'm
Hmm.
interfacing with. I'm just using that app that is best for that use case.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sounds easier than all these different accounts. So,
Yeah, that's terrible. I mean, that's funny, right? I'm doing this podcasting tour, let's say,
yeah.
and they're all asking for my socials. It's like I don't have any socials.
Yeah. Yeah, that is the that is the one thing. Well, thank you for being here, and I will keep in touch and let you know when the episode's out.
All right.
And all
Well,
right,
thank you for
sounds
having me,
good.
Samantha.
Of course.